Fighting really is my whole life. It really is.
When it comes to MMA legends, BJ Penn is a name that needs no introduction.
BJ Penn was a motherfucker, man.
Known for his unmatched tenacity and versatility, Penn has made quite a name for himself, securing UFC titles in both the lightweight and welterweight divisions. He wasn't just a formidable fighter, though.
I mean, don't we all think that?
Penn also had a significant hand in bringing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to the forefront in the United States, earning his black belt in a mere 3 years, a commendable achievement by any standards.
When you talk to fighters about all-time greats, there's one guy that everyone has on that list, and that guy's BJ Penn.
His fights were more than just showdowns. They were exhibitions of human resilience, skill, and spirit. However, despite his formidable career, Penn is also known for his unfortunate 7-fight losing streak. That ultimately led to his retirement.
Congratulations on a tremendous career. We look forward to seeing you in the UFC Hall of Fame, a great champion, the prodigy BJ Penn. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So let's get down to the nitty-gritty and explore the roller coaster career of this mixed martial arts icon. Born on December 13, 1978, in the lush paradise of Hawaii, BJ Penn comes from a vibrant mix of Irish-American and Korean-Hawaiian heritage, thanks to his parents J.D. Penn and Lorraine Shin.
It's my mom right here.
Oh, hi. You guys just came in. I saw you guys.
At the ripe age of 17, BJ got a taste of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu when his neighbor Tom Carlos, who was on the hunt for training buddies, caught his attention.
As kids, we knew nothing about working out, how to do it right, so we'd probably work out once a month. We'd lift weights. We had a little weight room downstairs, and then we'd run to the end of the road and run back. And we would think that was the best training you could ever do. We would think nobody in the world could beat us in a fight.
Penn absorbed everything Callis had to offer, kickstarting his journey in the martial arts world.
I started fighting all the guys about my size around town. Then I started getting more gutsy and fighting with more people. But I remember talking to a girl one day. We were just hanging out, and I was like, oh, so-and-so, he's the toughest of all the little guys. And she's like, no way, you're the toughest of all the little guys. And I'm like, really, me? I'm tough?
Bolstered by his father's support, BJ journeyed to California in 1997 to train under the esteemed Ralph Gracie, eventually earning his purple belt. But BJ's ambitions didn't end there. Despite Ralph's reservations, BJ ventured to Brazil to join the famed Nova União Academy in Rio de Janeiro, training alongside legends like Leo Santos, Robson Moura, and Shaolin Ribeiro. His hard work and determination paid off when in 2000 he was awarded a black belt. Just weeks later, he shattered expectations by becoming the first non-Brazilian to triumph in the black belt division of the World Jiu-Jitsu Championship in Rio de Janeiro. Penn is thought to have earned the fastest legitimate black belt of all active Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioners.
BJ Penn was born to fight, man. That's what this kid was put on earth to do.
His remarkable achievements didn't go unnoticed by the UFC, who persuaded Penn to transition to mixed martial arts. Making his debut on May 24, 2001, at UFC 31, Penn defeated Joey Gilbert.
And I just thought that was the biggest thing in the world. You know, I still think in my own head that's my favorite fight.
It wasn't his most memorable performance ever, but Penn's first-round knockout introduced UFC fans at the time to the prodigy.
Ladies and gentlemen, at about 5 minutes of the first round, due to a referee's stop.
BJ just didn't give a fuck. He was so confident, particularly like early in his career.
He then demonstrated strong striking skills, knocking out lightweights Din Thomas and Kale Uno.
Like he knocked out this dude Kyle Uno in like 6 seconds. And Kyle Uno is a really good fighter. Kyle Uno is very experienced. He's fought a lot of like real world-class guys in Japan, and he was a real respected grappler. And it was an interesting matchup because of BJ's grappling pedigree. Like BJ won the Mundials. And Kyle Uno was thought to be like a really good grappler, real solid wrestler and submission guy. But BJ just stormed down him, just starched him. He was just so good.
Leading to a face-off against UFC lightweight champion Gens Pulver in January 2002. Despite controversy suggesting a draw, Pulver clinched victory with 2 knockdowns. Eager to shake off his first MMA loss, Penn rebounded, impressively securing a TKO win over Paul Creighton. He then kept the momentum going by earning a decision against Matt Serra in September of the same year.
You were a scary motherfucker, dude. You were a scary motherfucker. You were tuned in.
Man.
When you were tuned in, man, you were something fierce.
In February 2003, following Gens Pulver's departure from the UFC and the relinquishment of his title, a tournament bout was announced to crown a new champion. This led to a highly anticipated rematch between Penn and Uno. Over 5 intense rounds, the two fighters engaged in a gripping battle of grappling and striking. Yet, in a surprising twist, the judges declared the fight a draw.
So I had the fight with Kau Uno. It ends up being a draw. And then I'm there again. I'm like, man, when I do something, I want to get it done.
Unable to determine a new champion, the UFC temporarily suspended its lightweight division. Unfazed, Penn went on to secure a victory in October against future Pride lightweight champion Takanori Gomi, earning his first MMA championship title, the Rumble on the Rock Lightweight Championship in K1 Fighting Network's Rumble on the Rock.
You know what? Hawaii has the best fighters in the world. We grew up fighting. That's all we do.
Nothing else mattered to me in my life at that time than being the toughest and most skilled martial artist on the planet. And just fighter. I didn't consider myself a martial artist. I just thought of myself as a fighter.
In 2004, at UFC 46, Penn also took home his first UFC championship. He boldly moved up in weight classes to challenge Matt Hughes, the 5-time defending UFC welterweight champion. Hughes had already defeated everyone in the division, but Penn stepped in to fill that title contention slot. Keep also in mind that at the time, Hughes was on a 13-fight winning streak and looked untouchable.
Hughes wants the takedown.
Despite being the heavy favorite, Hughes lost in a shocking upset just 4 minutes into the first round by rear naked choke. This fight is significant because it would be the first of Penn's 2 UFC titles in multiple divisions. To put this in context, he won the title in a division that was too big for him against one of the best champions in UFC history. Even though Hughes was in his prime, he lost the fight, making this a standout victory in Penn's career. After beating Hughes, Penn felt there were no more challenging opponents for him in the UFC, so he decided to join K1, a promotion in Japan. This made the UFC strip him of his title as they said he broke his contract and didn't want to defend his belt. Penn disagreed, saying his contract with the UFC was over. He tried to stop the UFC from giving his title to someone else, but he couldn't.
BJ Penn!
In May 2004, he won a match against Duane Ludwig in less than 5 minutes at a K1 event. After that, he beat undefeated Rodrigo Gracie, making it 4 wins in a row.
He's tough as hell. He's top notch. I'll give it, for him tonight. Thank you. I want everybody here to know one thing. Hawaii has the best fighter in the world living over here.
In March 2005, he fought Lyoto Machida in a match with no weight class. Penn weighed less, but still put up a good fight, despite ultimately losing. But he quickly bounced back, winning against Renzo Gracie. And this takes us to early 2006, when Dana White announced that a settlement had been reached between Penn and the UFC, paving the way for Penn's return as a top welterweight contender.
It's great to be here. It's been too long.
He faced Georges St. Pierre at UFC 58.
The winner gets Matt Hughes. Here we go.
The match is famous not only for being a true battle, but also for its contentious scoring. In the 3-round fight, Penn indisputably won the first round and St. Pierre the third, while the second round remained debatable.
And the only blood on BJ Penn is the blood that just came from the face of Georges St. Pierre.
2 judges awarded the round to St. Pierre and 1 to Penn, leading to a split decision win for St. Pierre.
George Rush St. Pierre.
Regardless of the official outcome, Penn undeniably emerged victorious in the fight itself, he aptly captured this sentiment, reportedly stating, "I went to a club after the fight and he went to the hospital."
He catch me with, I think, a jab right in the eyes. I saw him in double. I tried to run away, you know, the first one because I tried just to survive because I couldn't fight with him. I saw two BJ Penn in front of me. Sometimes I swing one and he was not the good one, and I got punched by the other one. So it was like I would fight two guys, you know.
However, with this defeat, Penn was sure he had missed his opportunity to reclaim the title he had lost when he left the UFC back in 2004. But fate had other plans.
Back in September 2006, Matt was scheduled to defend his welterweight title against Georges St-Pierre.
I'm very glad you won that fight, Matt, but I'm not impressed by your performance, and I look forward to fight you in the near future.
Unfortunately, St-Pierre pulled out of the fight due to a groin injury sustained during training. But we had no intention of canceling the event, so we offered Penn the chance to step in as a replacement.
As the fight commenced, Penn appeared ready for battle, showcasing a strong stand-up game and expertly defending against Hughes' takedown attempts. He nearly submitted his opponent with a rear naked choke in the first round, although he couldn't quite secure the hold.
This is twice that Matt Hughes has thought about the takedown, and he hasn't even been close to taking BJ Penn down.
In the second round, Penn continued to defend against takedowns, but eventually found himself with Hughes on top. However, Hughes couldn't capitalize on this and then nearly fell victim to a triangle choke / armbar combination, but survived, seemingly down 2 rounds to none.
Rounds 1 and 2, Eddie gives to BJ Penn.
In the third round, Penn was visibly exhausted and started missing punches he was landing earlier.
BJ looks fatigued. BJ does not look unlike he...
It would be later reported that he had also suffered a rib injury in the closing seconds of the second round. Hughes capitalized on Penn's fatigue and injury, trapping his arm and landing multiple punches to Penn's undefended face. With no choice, referee John McCarthy stopped the fight, securing Hughes' 6th consecutive win and another championship belt. Despite Penn's impressive form against Hughes, the injury leaves us with unanswered questions. We can only speculate whether he would have succumbed to fatigue in the third round or emerged victorious over the reigning champion. In the end, Matt Hughes once again showed the heart and soul of a champion, while Penn, for the first time in his career, had now lost 2 back-to-back fights.
Not here to waste your guys' time. I'm not here to have my time wasted. I've been trying to do my best, been trying to teach everybody as much as I could.
Penn became a coach for the Ultimate Fighter 5, which kicked off in April 2007. He led a crew of 8 lightweight fighters and got a rematch with Jens Pulver at the Ultimate Fighter 5 finale.
As it stands, I just don't want to beat him. I want to beat the hell out of him.
Now here's the backstory. For a long time, BJ Penn was just itching to get back at Jens Pulver for handing him his first career loss.
Kind of freaked myself out when I got there. You know, I was 22 years old. I've been in the UFC for a couple months. Next thing I know, I was there in the main event.
Fast forward 5 years from their UFC 35 showdown, and they met again as coaches on the show.
We'll actually fight each other in the finale. So the fans will get to see BJ Penn versus Jens Pulver, too.
Good luck.
This time, Penn was out for blood, landing the first right hand and slamming Pulver to the mat. But Pulver got back on his feet and began trading heavy blows with Penn until the first round bell rang. In the second round, it became obvious it wouldn't take long for Penn to get the W. Pulver put up a brave fight, but Lil Evil was no match for the Prodigy that night.
Delivering punishment to Little Evil.
Finally, Penn managed to get Pulver's back and submit him with a rear naked choke to end the fight. Even though he held the choke a bit after Pulver tapped out, they hugged it out later, squashing their beef.
And I just, as a man to another man, I want to apologize everything over the years. And you know, and I know I'll need your help one day. And just as a man to a man, I saw in the past I was just a young kid growing up, you know, envious of him for kicking my butt. but actually he kept me around all these years actually because I wanted to win the title in league. Jen said, no, you ain't done with MMA, and I'm gonna show you why. Beat me down, and I apologize for all of that.
Never. Don't, hey, here's the thing. You never need to apologize. Look, this is, to me, is about the coolest thing in the world if I can steal this moment, because for me, man, having BJ sit next to me and everybody's talking about the show. Yeah, man, it was real. We drove each other nuts, but, in a lot of ways, he saved me a lot of times. And like I said, man, goosebumps. Now I'm in this hard time. I'm the one who can't find the W's. I'm struggling. And it's my brother just rose up and, you know what, he takes me over here. And this is huge, man. It means the world to me. You're giving it back, saving me, man. You saved me. This is something.
With the win, Penn finally broke his losing streak. More importantly, however, he made peace with Pulver after 5 years of bad blood. In January 2008, Penn scored another win, this time against Joe Stevenson, taking home the lightweight title. Right from the get-go, Stevenson got rocked by a Penn uppercut and seemed shook the whole fight.
Penn looking to finish it quickly. Big elbow by Penn. Wide open is Joe Stevenson.
Stevenson was tough, but Penn just owned him with takedowns, ground and pound, and jiu-jitsu.
Slippery as they are, he's going to go for the choke.
Blood was streaming down Stevenson's face when he finally tapped out to a rear naked choke by Penn at 4 minutes and 2 seconds of the second round.
That's it. That's a wrap. It is all over. BJ Penn is the UFC lightweight champion.
On top of the aforementioned lightweight belt, this win awarded him the title of Beatdown of the Year by Sherdog for 2008. With this remarkable victory, BJ Penn became the second man after Randy Couture to win UFC titles in 2 different weight divisions. People used to knock Penn for his weak conditioning and work ethic, but he looked amazing in this fight. He wasn't even tired, and his physique was on point, way better than his usual puffy look. When Penn was in shape, he was hands down one of the best fighters in the world. And with this killer performance and a new belt for his collection, he was locking down his place in MMA history and living up to his nickname.
Number 2, just the second man in UFC history to win a championship in 2 different weight classes.
It has nothing to do with who's the best. It's who wants it the most. That's what it is. And that's what I thought about. I mean, I kind of knew that about martial arts. I mean, you go in there and you be right as quick and as violent as and as intimidating as possible.
Sean Shark, you're dead!
In May 2008, BJ defended his lightweight title against Sean Shirk at UFC 84. It's crucial to understand that Shirk was the previous title holder, but he had been suspended by the California State Athletic Commission due to a positive steroid test back in 2007. Consequently, the UFC stripped him of the title, the very same title Dana White offered in the Penn versus Stevenson fight we previously discussed.
Shirk was stripped of the belt just after 1 defense due to a controversial drug test result.
Shirk, however, maintained his innocence and argued that the test results were inaccurate.
The next thing for me is, I got my belt taken away. Obviously, everyone knows that. So the next thing for me is just to get that belt back. I'll be fighting BJ Penn soon. So I just want to get in there and get that belt back and get everything back on track. I had a lot of momentum going, so I'm looking forward to get everything going again for me.
He believed he had been unjustly stripped of a title he rightfully earned.
Sean Shirk is on appeal for his steroid abuse scandal or whatever you want to call it.
So after serving his suspension, now Shirk returned to the octagon with unwavering determination to reclaim his belt from BJ Penn.
We'll fight Sean Shirk for the steroid championship.
Shirk initially attempted to take the fight to the ground, but Penn successfully defended against his takedowns. As a result, the majority of the bout unfolded on their feet, with Shirk striving to land his powerful left hook.
Joe, though, 1 shot in, 1 shot out for both guys.
Penn clearly excelled in striking, yet Shirk's formidable power created an air of suspense, as he seemed capable of ending the fight at any moment.
Shirk standing in.
During the second round, it appeared as though Shirk injured his right hand, as he continually shook it and lacked conviction in his subsequent strikes.
It appears that he's, just biding his time.
The third round was a continuation of the previous action. Finally, with only seconds remaining in round 3, Penn executed a devastating flying knee that sent Shirk to the mat and successfully defended his title. Later, it was announced that Penn would face the winner of the UFC 87 welterweight title fight between Georges St-Pierre and John Fitch, which St-Pierre ended up winning by unanimous decision, leading to the scheduling of BJ's next fight as a welterweight championship fight.
Follow my instructions. We will have a clean fight.
Penn went up against Georges St-Pierre for his welterweight title on January 31st, 2009, the night before the Super Bowl. They called it UFC Super Bowl weekend, and everyone thought it'd be the biggest UFC pay-per-view event ever. Before the fight, Penn stirred up some controversy when he said he was going to try to kill St-Pierre in the ring. Many believed the bout would determine the world's top pound-for-pound fighter. BJ Penn supporters argued that his boxing and elite ground game would prove too much for St-Pierre, while GSP fans contended that his size and wrestling skills would overwhelm Penn. The fight started and was balanced in the first round. George tried to take BJ down, but BJ successfully resisted these attempts throughout the round.
These guys are once-in-a-lifetime athletes.
The fight stayed standing and their attacks were evenly matched. Then things took a turn for the worst. During the break between rounds 1 and 2, St-Pierre's cornermen applied Vaseline to his face, which was allowed at the time. However, the Nevada State Athletic Commission noticed GSP's cornermen also applying Vaseline to his back and shoulders, which was and remains prohibited. Round 2 began, and the dynamic shifted dramatically. St-Pierre started executing takedowns on Penn and dominating him on the ground. Penn attempted high guard and rubber guard maneuvers, but his legs simply slid off GSP's back, who ended up securing round 2. Amid the controversy, the fighters engaged in round 3, with GSP once again winning easily on the ground, raising further suspicions. Round 4 continued in a similar fashion until Penn threw in the towel at the end of the round. The fight concluded with St-Pierre victorious by TKO in round 4.
And you put on the most dominant performance of your career against one of the toughest guys in the sport.
This time I really wanted to take him out, and I'm glad that I did it.
Penn blamed his loss on his opponent being all slippery and greasy. Fans took sides. St-Pierre's supporters said Penn was just making excuses, while Penn's fans argued he couldn't use his jiu-jitsu because GSP was all Vaselined up.
Greasegate and everything else that has been called, George. I notice you appear to be not very shiny at all today, as you said here with us in your nice-looking suit.
I think BJ Penn, if you want to be a better fighter, he should have focused on things that he has the power to change. When I lost to Sarah and I lost to Hughes, I was focusing on what I did wrong to become a better fighter. Mm-hmm. And I think BJ Penn, instead of focusing on things that he doesn't control, he should have focused on himself and try to think about things that he can change and make himself a better fighter. The way that he acts right now, it's not going to make him a better fighter, it's just going to make him worse.
Penn asked the Nevada State Athletic Commission to investigate, and in his formal complaint, he wanted some serious consequences for St-Pierre, including a $250,000 fine, suspending St-Pierre's license, and changing the fight's result to no contest.
Either the trainer was a very good trainer with a lot of experience, and in applying Vaseline to the fighter and then rubbing on the shoulders and leaving some of that residue on there was a great trick that's probably worked many other times before. Trust me, he's not the first one to do it. That's scenario number one. Scenario number two is he's an inexperienced cornerman that when he applied Vaseline on the fighter, didn't realize that he still had Vaseline on his hands, and when he went to rub him, then some of that applied. So you make your own judgment on that.
In the aftermath, several fighters, including Jason Miller, Matt Hughes, and Sean Shirk, claimed that St. Pierre had felt slippery and greasy during their fights as well. Nonetheless, after thoroughly examining the evidence, conducting interviews, and reviewing the event footage, the Nevada State Athletic Commission concluded that there was no grounds for disciplinary action against Georges St. Pierre and terminated the investigation. Dana White admitted that the Vaseline incident didn't change the fight's result, but he was sorry it happened. To stop this from happening again, UFC rules were changed. Now, only official cut men can use and put Vaseline on fighters.
What we've done now, we've changed it very simple. They come in, they'll do their hugging first. We'll apply the Vaseline as we normally do on the eyebrows and the cheeks. Referee checks them out, sends them straight into the octagon. The corners are not allowed to have Vaseline in between rounds anymore. If the fighter gets cut or if he gets swelling, then we as the cut men will go in and take care of them, and we're the only ones that are allowed to put the Vaseline in those areas that need to be addressed. So that's really the final conclusion of what happened with the GSP and Georges St. Pierre. And you know, it's happened many, many other times before, but it was such a high-profile fight that it brought the attention worldwide.
Sure, Penn hit a rough patch against St. Pierre, but let's not forget, he was still a force to be reckoned with in the lightweight division. He sent Pulver, Stevenson, and Shirk packing before taking that L from GSP. Those weren't no-name guys. They were top dog contenders. But you know who wasn't exactly a BJ Penn's fan? Kenny Florian. Florian had won 6 consecutive fights and now wanted to fight Penn. He thought he could make him retire. However, when they fought in August 2009, Penn looked like he'd been photoshopped. He was in far better shape than his previous fights. Florian couldn't catch a break the entire fight. Ultimately, the prodigy locked in a rear naked choke in the 4th round and successfully defended his lightweight belt. 4 months later, it was Diego Sanchez's turn to try and snatch the belt from Penn. Sanchez attempted 27 takedowns, all of which Penn successfully defended. Penn outperformed his opponent, successfully blocking all his moves and aggressively striking back. He managed to hit Sanchez hard multiple times and finally defeated him with a right high kick in the last round. The kick left a massive cut on Sanchez's forehead, and the doc called the fight at 2 minutes and 47 seconds of the 5th round with a TKO. Penn's win was a historic moment, as only the 2nd fight in UFC history to end in the 5th round. Plus, he had the honor of being the only man who's ever stopped Sanchez. However, things quickly went downhill. Penn's next title defense came in April 2010 at UFC 112, where he squared off against Frankie Edgar. Despite Penn being the clear favorite, Edgar controlled the tempo of the fight. He constantly attacked, while Penn seemed content to sit back and wait for a counterattack. This was unusual for Penn, who typically likes to take the fight to the ground and catch his opponent in a submission.
You know, I was disappointed in my performance towards the end. You know what I mean? For sure. You know, I would love to, put on a better show. But you know, as a fighter, you always think you're winning the fight. You know, you never feel like you're getting your butt kicked. You know, you always feel like you're right in there and you're biased. You know what I mean? Of course, you think you're winning.
Edgar kept charging at Penn with leg kicks, punch combos, takedown attempts, and the occasional head kick, while Penn rarely landed a clean hit. In the end, the judges awarded the win to Edgar. However, the decision sparked some criticism, as, interestingly, 8 out of 9 media outlets scored the fight in Penn's favor.
You know, I wanted to fight Frankie Edgar again. I believe I can do better than what I showed.
Due to the controversy, an immediate rematch with Edgar was arranged for his first title defense.
I know I painted a bullseye on my chest, and everyone's gunning for me. And you can't sit on your high horse and expect just to keep that title. You have to work hard for it, and I realized that.
And so 4 months later, Edgar and Penn met in the octagon again. Edgar looked like the only one who'd improved since their previous bout. He was faster and sharper. He neutralized Penn's ground game and controlled the fight with adept movement and striking combinations. Penn, contrastingly, seemed not to have learned anything from his title loss a few months earlier. He looked like a sparring partner for an active, dynamic, and casually confident Edgar. The biggest disappointment is that Penn was technically a better fighter than Edgar. Unsurprisingly, all 3 judges scored the fight in favor of Edgar.
Think about BJ Penn throughout his entire career. This is a guy who George St. Pierre hammered for 5 rounds, and the fight's over. The kid doesn't have any marks on his face. Matt Hughes had him in that iron cross and smashing him. The guy's got no marks on his face. Frankie Edgar was hitting him with big right hands, nasty body shots, big kicks to the body. I remember when he showed the replay, when he kicks BJ's foot out from under him, BJ hit the ground hard, man. And when you're not expecting to hit the ground that hard and that high, that stuff hurts, man. I guarantee you he's not feeling too good today.
Following his double loss to Edgar, Penn decided to switch things up and once again made the jump to the 170-pound welterweight division to square off against Hughes for a 3rd time. This time, Hughes didn't even get a chance to flex his size and wrestling muscle. Penn showcased faster hands and more refined boxing techniques right from the start. He swiftly landed 3 clean rights on Hughes while he was on the ground, which led the referee to intervene and end the fight. The bout concluded 21 seconds into the 1st round, earning Penn an $80,000 check for knockout of the night.
Thank Dana for putting the fight together, for Tina's giving me a job. And the Irons, I love you. Hawaii, I love you. Joe Rogan, I love you.
I love you too, man.
Force Factor!
During the post-fight press conference, Dana White announced that Penn's next fight would be with John Fitch. Fitch was coming off a phenomenal string of victories, losing only once against George St. Pierre in a span of 8 years that included 21 wins.
John Fitch had a long run, either not being stopped or not stopping anyone, but grinding out huge victories. How do you defeat this guy in this fight?
I don't really want to get into too much of the game plan stuff to fight John, but I gotta go out there. I gotta be just as tough as him. I gotta be tougher than him, and I gotta show him. He thinks.
In preparation for the event, Penn enrolled the help of Matt Hughes and Floyd Mayweather to assist him during his training camp. And the results showed immediately. When on fight night, Penn surprised everyone by taking down Fitch right away. But Fitch switched positions and hit him a few times. In the 2nd round, the same thing happened. Penn took down Fitch and almost won by choking him, but Fitch turned things around, hit Penn, and made the score closer. Still, Penn managed to break his nose and make him bleed heavily. In the 3rd round, Penn seemed to be winning until Fitch took him down and kept hitting him. However, the fight ended in a tie, with both fighters upset with the outcome.
This draw, it is. It's just like it leaves you, what now? It leaves you in a limbo type situation, and and then he got hurt. He hurt his shoulder, and my shoulder's bothering me too, and it's just turned into an ugly situation. People might think it's a long shot from this point out, but I really would like to be the world champ again at 170 pounds, and I try to hold that as long as I can. And when I get knocked off, because everyone's going to get knocked off, I'd love to go back to 155 and win one more time. If I could do that, I could go to sleep at night.
However, after that, things would only get worse. In a sad turn of events, Penn would embark on an infamous 7-fight losing streak against Edgar again. Nick Diaz, Rory McDonald, Yair Rodriguez, Dennis Seaver, Ryan Hall, and Clay Guida, before being released by the UFC in 2019.
I'm a small town guy, so I just wanted to become the champion, prove to myself I could do it, go back to a normal life. And if anybody ever talked to me about the UFC, I'd be like, hey, yeah, I know about that. I used to be the champ once. Here's my belt.
Thing is, Penn started his UFC career in 2001, and by the time of his final fight in 2019, he was 40 years old.
Congratulations on a tremendous career. We look forward to seeing you in the UFC Hall of Fame, a great champion, the prodigy BJ Penn. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
In a sport as physically demanding and brutal as this, those years of wear and tear can make a noticeable impact. Reflexes slow, injuries accumulate, and recovery takes longer. This isn't to say that older fighters can't be successful, but it's an uphill battle, and it's possible that Penn was feeling the effects of time.
I always tell people you have to judge a fighter by the heights they reached, not where they fell afterwards or the up-and-coming fights. You got to judge them by the heights that they reached.
Another crucial aspect to consider is the level of competition. This sports landscape evolved dramatically over the course of Penn's career. As it became more popular, it attracted more talent, and training methods improved. Fighters today are more well-rounded, with expertise in a variety of martial arts. While Penn was an innovator in his prime, perhaps he struggled to keep up with the evolving skill level of his competition. Additionally, mental health is a big deal in sports. It's possible that after so many years of fighting, Penn lost some of his motivation. On top of that, the pressure of constantly performing well, especially when you're on a losing streak, can be hard to handle. All these factors could have put him at a disadvantage during his final fights. But remember, this isn't about feeling sorry for Penn. It's more of a lesson for us. It reminds us that no one's unbeatable, and everyone has off days, or off years even. At the end of the day, this is about embracing the human side of a brutal sport that often feels cruel and relentless. Penn might have had a tough time, but he's still a tough guy. Just a tough guy with a few more bumps and bruises than he would have liked.
Critics and fans ask me all the time, BJ, do you think you did enough with the talent you had? To them I answer, no, I didn't do enough. I did way too much, more than I ever wanted to do.
Here's to BJ Penn, the man, the legend, and indeed the fighter who bore the weight of that infamous 7-fight losing streak. Yet within those losses, there lies a testament to resilience, proving that a true champion is defined not by their time in the ring, but by the enduring impact they leave on the sport and its fans.